Hello, today is President's Day. I am playing around with wigs. As you can see, I have a kind of like reddish one today. I cut the bangs and they're still in my eyes, so I'm gonna have to cut them some more, I think. Jesus, now we're all wonky. I usually don't like myself in like flat, like straight wigs like this, but this one is okay, I think, for today. But like usually it just makes my head look weird compared to the rest of my body because my body is like very big and then my head is like kind of small, and so it just makes my head look too small for my body, and so that's why I don't really like wigs without volume. So I need to figure out how to give this volume. Usually I just curl wigs, but then my mom was all like, just keep it straight, and I'm like, I don't like the way it looks. Anyways, but yeah, I essentially am here today to on the goings ons. I know it's been a minute. Pretty much just like so all of December, which I don't think I really posted that much. It's been a minute since you've seen me, but I pretty much realized that I obviously need to post more in order to get my business thriving the way that I want it to. But also I have like a full-time job and I struggle a lot with like ADHD. So being consistent on social media is just not my thing, if you haven't noticed already. That being said, I am at least going to try to commit to monthly updates on this channel. TikTok is a whole different other story. I gotta figure out what I'm doing with TikTok, so that'll be fun. But I'm going to try to commit to at least a video a month. Okay, so that's our promise. Lock it in. Okay, I'm going to update you on basically like what I've been doing, where I've been at the past month. So I pretty much had to change like my domain stuff. What is going on? What is happening? What is, ma'am, thank you. So I was able to, I had to do some domain stuff behind the scenes of the website, moonwaxgalaxy.com. I know we get most of our orders on our Etsy right now, but my goal is to basically lean away from Etsy and sort of try to get my own website going, which I know is pretty hard because Etsy has its own environment of people who, they already have their audience. You get what I'm saying? Like they already have their customers who are going to go to Etsy versus like I'm kind of like, Etsy is helping me essentially. Like Etsy already has a group of people who are buyers and are looking to shop for stuff and da-da-da-da-da. Versus like I have to convince people to come to my platform versus like Etsy, if that makes sense. So I do understand the challenge with that, but also Etsy's fees are getting ridiculous. Like I did my business taxes and Etsy fees were like a third of what I made the entire year, and I can't keep doing that. So I have updated my link tree to no longer link to Etsy, but to link to my personal website. It's a personal website, but it's really just a Shopify site, to be clear. That's happening. By the way, if my voice sounds different than normal, I'm like getting over a cold. Like all last week I was completely and utterly sick. And so this week I feel better, but like my voice is like not where it's usually at, if that makes sense. Anyways, so we pretty much had, I was changing up links, also had to renew my domain. So every year I pay for my domain name, aka the moonwaxgalaxy.com name. And earlier this year, like I was doing it through Google Domains. Earlier this year, Google Domains got bought out by GoDaddy, and GoDaddy put out an announcement that was pretty much like, your prices for your domains is going to stay the same for like at least a year, and then it's going to change. And I'm like, no, I literally went with Google Domains because I pay $5 a year for my domain. I'm not going to switch over to like $30 a month or however much like GoDaddy charges compared to what I was paying before. You get what I'm saying? Right now we're under someone else. I now pay a little bit more. It's more like $10 a month, but I also played around with the idea of buying another domain, which is moonwaxgalaxy.shop. I know that .com is basically the standard, but I also realized that I was looking at another YouTuber and vlogger. And granted, I got to take this with a grain of salt because they were sponsored, but pretty much there's research done that .com is too vague. Like when you tell someone to go here, .com, like they don't know what the website is. Like they don't know if it's a blog or I don't know, a course or like a store. So buying a domain that ends in .store, you get what I'm saying? I picked .shop because I feel like .shop is a little bit more small businessy than .store, but that's just me. And right now, if you type in moonwaxgalaxy.shop, it's going to redirect you to moonwaxgalaxy.com. But I'm wondering what people think of, which I'll probably ask around as well, but like, what do you guys think of using moonwaxgalaxy.shop versus .com? Like, does that sound better than using .com, if that makes sense? Like, if I tell people, if I give a business card, which right now all my business cards say .com until I reprint them, but if I give someone a business card that says, hey, go to moonwaxgalaxy.shop, like, I feel like that would communicate that this is a store and that we're going to be selling product. Like, you can buy product from here, right? You get what I'm saying? But also, like, I feel like people are going to be like, why is it not a .com? You get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I'm just playing around with stuff. Let me know what you think. That is the major update at the moment. I am working on new releases. So as of right now, I have 2 releases that I'm working on. One of which is like a sort of like anime Sailor Moon type of thing. So I do have candles that are like, I call them fandom candles because it's usually part of a fandom. Right now we have the Asterion candles and wax melts. Right now the wax melts have been really popular just because like, I probably didn't really announce it a lot, but I saw a clip on Twitter. Well, really, my friend sent me a clip on Twitter that was talking about Asterion's scent and that they gave him a canon scent. And he was saying that he smells like bergamot, rosemary, and a little bit of like aged brandy. And so I just went ahead and took what was in the game and just made that into a candle. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing that with other stuff like this book that I've been reading. This book that I've been reading that I'm kind of a fan of. And like they talk about scents of different characters, and I might do that just for my own fun, but we'll see. Right now I am working on the Sailor Moon release. Right now we have Sailor Moon, Venus, and Mercury done. Sailor Jupiter is coming in the mail. I am still trying to figure out what I want Sailor Mars to smell like because she has been a challenge for me, but it's okay. And then behind me is Twisted Wonderland stuff. So we have wax melts and candles of each release here. So that's what I'm working on. What I've also worked on is basically our most popular scents, which is mahogany and sage. Fun fact, mahogany and sage were basically a part of a Black History Month release that I was doing. And I'm still trying to figure out what I want them to look like because right now they're in amber jars with gold lid and sort of like craft sticker paper on it. And I wanted it to be very more so like rustic feeling, which has worked well for me, but also like I do want to acknowledge that like I changed all of my other jars to tins, but those ones which are still popular are still the jars. And the reason why I switched from jars to tins is just because they're easier for me to ship and transport. And I kind of want to move away from glass. So I don't know how to take something that is a popular candle collection, I guess, that has a very like intentional look to it, and transfer that from how do I make that into a tin? You get what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out that right now. I do also acknowledge that mahogany is technically a dupe for Bath and Body Works mahogany teakwood, which I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about a little bit too much, but I also am nervous when it comes to dupes, and even like with some of the fandom stuff, like the inspired thing, because I do know that like there might be some copyright issues there. So that's like stuff I'm also trying to figure out. Granted, like a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, like I have an artist that I pay and she makes custom art. So I'm not using the actual official artwork for a lot of the releases, which I think helps me, you know, somewhat. And then I am very careful to be like, you know, this is inspired off of this character. I don't have any association with the actual work or anything like that. So which I think most people also understand when they buy stuff. But I'm trying to figure out how I feel about being like doing like dupes, if that makes sense, because like I said earlier, like mahogany teakwood is technically a dupe, and I've been having my eye on champagne for a little while and possibly duping that. But I guess I'm trying to figure out like what are the ethics and morals behind duping stuff. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I do want to make my own like original smells and not like just dupe what's popular. So I don't know. I have to, obviously, like I just struggle with stuff that I don't need to struggle with probably, but definitely have to like work out all that stuff. There was a short tint of me trying to figure out how to make God, what was it? I was trying to figure out how to make bath salts, but they're not done yet, and I have not really sold it, so bath salts might not happen anymore. We'll see. I also tried to make some chapsticks, which actually I really like the chapsticks that I made, and they're mango flavored. The problem is that like if they get too warm, they get really melty. Which I think I may have just added a little bit too much oil, because I use like jojoba oil, and I think I might have added a little bit too much jojoba oil. So I'm still trying to figure out like how to get the perfect mix or blend for what I want. But yeah, I think those are all the updates that I can think of. Hopefully, I don't forget anything. I've been meaning to like have my notebook near me and just write stuff down of like, this is what I need to update you guys on. But besides that, it's been business as usual. I am thinking about working with some sort of like affiliate program with my friends. So that'll be fun. I'm going to like give them, basically allowing them to come up with their own like candle or scent smell. And then I'm going to make candles and like wax melts based off of that. And then like give them their own custom links. So when they promote it, like they get a cut type of affiliate pro, you get what I'm saying? So we'll see how that goes. Anything else? That's pretty much it. I am figuring out a schedule for TikTok, and I've just been trying to figure out like how I should fit in on TikTok, because TikTok is very like, TikTok is not the place to sit down and be yapping, and that's what I like doing. So I have to figure out how I fit in on TikTok. And all that good stuff. So yeah, we'll figure it out as we go. But I also want to do like artist alleys, which is pretty much like you go to a convention and like they have the artist alley where like they sell stuff, merch, yada yada yada. I definitely want to do those because I noticed like last year a lot of vlogs of people doing that, and I feel like those are more my thing than trying to do the like random pop-ups. But we'll see. Not to say that like random pop-ups are bad, but it's just so hard to figure out how to get a good pop-up for me because I am a crafter, and sometimes you get thrown in with non-crafters or like people who are just like reselling stuff, and because of that, like people don't realize like, oh, you make these candles yourselves. Because I remember I would go to like pop-ups and people would be like, oh, do you make these candles yourselves? And I'm like, yeah. And I thought it odd just because I'm like, why do people keep asking me that? But it's because like I was going to places where there weren't that many crafters or like people who make their own stuff. You get what I'm saying? So naturally it makes sense for like why people kept asking me that. That being said, I also like go to events where like what's the word? Doesn't seem to be like well advertised or something like that, or like not enough turnout, or like weirdness of like the organizer of the event is very obviously just interested in like money and like not much else. And I'm just like, okay, I can't keep doing this to myself. Like I'm not just gonna give you money just to give out my money, you know? Like I have to be more intentional about where I'm going and how I'm doing, if that makes sense. Like if I making enough off of this event for it to be worth it for me, especially when I'm doing so much work of like loading up the car and then like asking people can they like come and table with me, and then like you have to buy food, and then you got to worry about like gas and like, okay, how much did I pay for the table, how much did I profit? Like, oh my god, sometimes it's just, and I will admit, sometimes it's just laziness for me. Like, I'm just like, man, is all of this work really going to be worth it for this event that I'm like not too sure about yet? So lots of fun. So I'm going to try to get into some artist alleys. I'm hoping to go to a like anime con event out here in Chicago. Thing about that is if I go, sometimes they can get pretty pricey, and we're talking about like $800 for like a 6-foot table, and I'm like, I ain't got $800 like that. But also, like, am I gonna bring enough product in the first place to sell $800 and then make a profit? Because I have to sell past 800 in order to, and like some of these tables are just really pricey. There's one that is a little bit more affordable where the table is about, I think, like 150 to like 200 or something like that, which is the most I've ever paid for a table. So fingers crossed it goes well. They have not opened up their applications yet, so hopefully soon. I actually should check up on that because I checked, last time I checked it was January. So I'll be checking up on that. A lot of them also want pictures, which I don't mind, but also I realize that like I don't have a lot of pictures, or I have pictures, but I guess my display isn't where I want it to be, and I have to figure out how I translate like my branding into my display, if that makes sense. Because like when your branding isn't pink, this is me throwing shade, when your branding isn't like, oh, I just love pink and everything that I do with my business is like pink packaging and pink blah 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 and pink 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 pink, and like how else do I attract people? You get what I'm saying? Like, I need to figure out my visual brand, which is usually like the colors I picked, first of all, are working. Like, when people see my stuff, they know that it's me. Like, my business card, my mom's best friend saw someone holding my business card and she was like, oh, that's Brianna. So the branding of like the black, the hot pink, and the like mint blue green definitely works and is recognizable. I just have to figure out how to translate that over into my display. And I have some things that I want to try out. Fingers crossed, I might mess around with it soon-ish because I do have some other pop-ups that I'm going to be doing with my mom's friend. My best friend's mom's friend. It's really weird. But yeah, we did well with their last pop-up and they want us to come back. So we're going to be coming back, and I want to figure out how I want my display and stuff to work, so that'll be fun. Yeah. Okay. Hi, I am back because I realized that there are things that I wanted to talk about and updates that I'm going to give you, of course, right when I was getting ready to edit, but it's okay. So, a couple of updates. I forgot to mention that essentially I want to improve my display. When I go to pop-ups, I have looked at different tips and tricks online. I've been trying to really research, look at other people's booths, just trying to figure out what could help with my business in terms of like when I go to events, how can I best display my candles? I have come across some challenges only because like candles is, even though a lot of people, yes, do sell candles, I noticed that candles are somewhat difficult to display, I guess, just because of how they are. Like, usually the easier things to display I've noticed are very flashy, artsy type of things. So things like clothes or things like prints, stickers, keychains, things like art. So I've been trying to like figure that out, and I think I finally worked out a solution. So a couple of things I've done to upgrade my booth. I constantly feel like I'm not centered, and I'm so sorry. One is basically I bought a hotspot. Usually when we go to events, I've been using my phone as a hotspot, and it's very like spotty. So right now I got a separate hotspot. It's sort of like a prepaid, like pay as you go type of situation. So as soon as I run out of data, I buy some more, and I don't really necessarily have to get into like plans and adding. I didn't want to do all that. So that's good. Just got here. I literally bought cubes. So they're these plastic cubes that you kind of can like put together to make a bookshelf, kind of like this one. It looks kind of like this, except you can like change it based on whatever shape you want. So that's cool. I've seen a lot of people do this with artist alleys. which artist alleys are usually at like cons, conventions, and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that maybe I can go to an anime con. My only problem is I don't think I have enough product per se. Like I have Twisted Wonderland and I'm starting to do the Sailor Moon stuff, but I don't know if I need more. You get what I'm saying? Like it still feels like not quite enough. Like I feel like maybe I still need one or two more, at least 4 different fandoms, at least. I want to get a custom tablecloth because a lot of times I noticed that I really neglected my signage, and signage is kind of important when trying to establish like your business and people understanding who you are and what you sell. And like I do have the cute like blue letterboard, but I feel like it's just too small and not flashy enough. So I got the banner, but the banner I really haven't figured out how to like hang up yet. So as of right now, I want to get a custom tablecloth. Hold on, changing out my battery. So basically just like things I want to do gradually. We do have some pop-ups. I think I mentioned before some pop-ups coming in the summer that we have penciled in, and I'm trying to prepare for that. I do want to get us new t-shirts because there was another vlog where me and Kim were basically like staying up until the wee hours of the night. I'm talking like 2, 3 a.m. trying to make t-shirts, and then Kim, at some point we ran out of time, and then Kim had to like take over the t-shirts, but the letters and stuff started falling apart. So I was just like, listen, we're just gonna have to outsource and like go to a professional to make our t-shirts, because we only need like 4 or 5 t-shirts really. It's not like we need a whole bunch. But I do want our t-shirts back. I liked our t-shirts. Yeah, I'm gonna get a new display for the wax melts, because before I had this, I'll insert a picture or video of it. It's sort of like a standing rack. I am going to end up buying like a tabletop. It's like a spin display. So I'm going to put my wax melts on there and having them spin. I was using the snap bars for quite a while, but I changed to the plastic. Here they are. So the plastic clamshells for the wax melts, which I have heart-shaped ones and square ones. Problem is that obviously plastic isn't the most eco-friendly or recyclable material, and I really want to try to continue using recyclable materials, so I have to figure out how I'm going to do that, but also need to figure out how I'm going to display it for people to look at, because the snap bars are a little hard to show off. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do like a mix of hanging up stuff and then also a mix of like snap bars, but that's where I'm at right now. So that being said, that's pretty much it. I have to buy more some more paper bags for when people purchase stuff. I do need to get more paper bags. Yeah, I don't know, man. And I need to utilize I got some boxes for wax melts and stuff that I never ended up using, and Kim pointed out that some of the jars can fit inside the box, and I'm like, why don't I just do that? Like put it in a box and then put it in a bag to help protect it and stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And speaking of pop-ups, I have one coming up in March. I have not made a flyer for it. I'm supposed to be making a flyer for it today, so that's fine. But literally just got everything settled for it like last night. So it's supposed to be like a yoga class or session. My mom's friend, I guess, is she's a therapist, and she has yoga sessions that she's gonna do. And I was like, can I vend here? Or my mom was asking if I could vend there. She was like, yeah, my daughter sells candles, and she's like, was so excited. She was like, we'd love to have you. So fingers crossed this goes well, only because I feel like, how do I say this? I feel like people who obviously do yoga are going to be like into candles and into like meditation and all that. So hopefully this is like a good matchup for us. I also just feel like because it is, I get the sense that it's going to be an event with more Black women there, and Black people tend to support my business way more than going to some other events. So excited about that. So yeah, hopefully this goes well. I am excited to try out some new display stuff. I want to get some, oh, the other thing, I want to get some like cardboard cutouts of maybe like prices, like I'll try to insert a clip or maybe a screenshot of what another girl did, but she basically just had like sheets of cardboard with like a cloud, and it had the side like this costs $12, blah 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 blah, and then like stuck it to like above her display or whatever. And I'm like, that totally makes sense, like above the item. So I feel like that might be the way to go. Yeah, we'll see. We shall see, but fingers crossed. Those are all the updates. We have an event, and then that being said, I am trying to restock and rebrand. I might have talked about this, but my popular smells. So this right now in my hand is sage. I don't think you could tell, you can really see it, but on camera this looks really gold. Wow. I got these jars a while ago. This was supposed to be for like a Christmas thing, that these came after Christmas, so I ended up ordering these jars and they ended up coming from China. Which I knew they were coming from China, but I was like trying to order like at least a month in advance, and they still came after Christmas, and I was like, I should have known. So I've been holding on to these until hopefully next year, but I'm gonna try this out now. So I ordered gold tins. And so last year, if you're not aware, I think it was last year, I came out with essentially like a Black History Month release, and it was our sage mahogany, and we also had one called Black Girl Magic, which is like a very like honey, vanilla, cinnamon. It's supposed to be like lightly sweet smell, and they were pretty much a hit, only because I didn't know if people were going to really like the smells or not, and they're our most popular smells, particularly sage and mahogany. So sage ended up happening because I noticed that there just doesn't seem to be a market for sage, which I thought was a little strange. For candles, everywhere I looked, like no one really had sage by itself. It was always sage with something else. So like sea salt and sage, or pineapple and sage, which is a popular combo for some reason, but there was never just sage. So I was like, I'm gonna try out just sage by itself and see how that goes. People were obsessed with sage. I also understand that, you know, sage has magic / religious, you know, connotations of like cleaning out maybe like evil or, you know, spirits, and the whole cleansing aspect to it. But I also noticed that people just like the smell of sage as well, so that's been great. When I first thought of a design, I wanted to go with a very like rustic feel because of Black History Month. I wanted it to be closely tied to like Black history, and a lot of Black people being, you know, slaves in the South, yada yada yada, all that. And because of that, I was thinking of more so a rustic feel with the South. You get where I'm coming from? So I have the amber jars, the amber brown jars, and I put like a craft label, gold lids, and then I added a moon, which was kind of like a orange color. I thought about trying to do a yellow, but I was like, I'm gonna try orange. And then around the side, I did like these gold moons, the phases of the moons, and pretty much one of my most popular packaging ideas I've ever done. Problem is that I moved away from using glass. So this is kind of where we're at right now, which honestly, I feel like that packaging has been more memorable than my normal packaging, which is interesting. Like whenever people see amber jars, like literally anywhere else, they think of me and they're like, oh, Brianna. And I'm like, that's cool, but also that's not supposed to be our main packaging. So I'm figuring stuff out. But yeah, so I was trying to figure out like if I switch over to tins, how is that gonna work? So I picked gold because it was between gold or bronze, and I wanted like, I was like, ooh, Christmas gold. So this looks very gold on camera, not so much gold in person, but it could just be me. But yeah, so I have this, and I'm gonna try to put the craft labels on this and see how that goes. Fingers crossed. I'm probably just gonna do a test one, but I made some more sage because of the event that we're going to soon. I realized that I have little to no actual sage left. Need to restock on that, and so that's what I did. So I have sage, and mahogany is coming. Literally out of mahogany. I have one sage. I lied. I have one sage and like 3 mahoganies left. So I'm gonna make some more. Obviously, that's what I'm doing. But those are all my updates, and at least for Moonwax stuff. Right now I am figuring out, and I think I talked about it before, but I am talking with my friend about figuring out like social media and posting and regular and yada yada yada. I definitely am a little down in the dumps because I feel like, I don't know, maybe I just like started at a weird time because we launched in the middle of COVID, but also like I feel like every time I'm like, I'm going to do this, it is no longer the popular thing to do anymore, right? So like the way I am right now is that I can post to social media because that's a free thing to do and I don't have a lot of money for advertising. So I very much so was like, oh, I can like post to social media, but then like found out that there's always weird stuff with like if you're not doing the popular thing that social media sites want you to do, then they suppress you. But then also like particularly on TikTok, like a lot of people were just like, oh, TikTok is just like people were getting tired of getting so many ads on TikTok and yada yada yada. And I was like, well, maybe I can do like affiliate marketing, sponsor, influencer, content creator to promote my stuff. But then like content creators were constantly lying about their sponsorships and not like admitting that they are being sponsored. And so people were like, we no longer trust influencers and we're tired of them constantly selling stuff to us and da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, so that's out. TikTok Shop was the next big thing. Everyone was on TikTok Shop. Everyone was buying from TikTok Shop. All the sellers were on TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop is now basically just Temu with shadier stuff, and it's nothing but like drop shipping. Not to say that there aren't small businesses on TikTok Shop, but it's mostly drop shipping and like cheap stuff for like really cheap, and it's basically like a Temu / Wish copy. So that's fun. And there's just also a lot of stuff with like TikTok Shop that I personally just don't know if I want to be associated with. Like it's hard as a small business to present your product next to a plethora of like drop shippers. You get what I'm saying? Like people who are just selling like, here's like a mug for like $2, and you're kind of like, is this, and it's like this small, and you're like, what's going on? You know, and then it like also like is like low quality and breaks within like a week. So lots of fun. Speaking of which, there's also Etsy. Tired of Etsy for obvious reasons, different reasons. Etsy is also plagued with drop shippers all over the place. Some of them have gotten really smart in making their drop shipped shops look like real shops. Because Etsy shops definitely have an aesthetic or a feel to them, and they are very good at setting up a shop so it has like the banner and the profile and the product pictures and the description all seem as though it's a small like shop, Etsy shop, when it's not. So that's fun. Was on Amazon Handmade, which mom pushed me to do, so haven't really done, but don't know how I feel about that because Amazon obviously, it first of all treats their workers like hot garbage, but also like is known for putting competitors out of business and like making their own versions of popular products and then selling it for so much less, so they go out of business, and so they have a monopoly on that item on their platform, yada yada yada. And so I'm kind of like, that's it, that's all. I'm now going to cut the camera and start editing at some point, but if you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. May your stars always align, and may fate conspire in your favor. I'll see you in the next video.